The snow fell like frozen tears that December night, blanketing the streets of Chicago in a silence so complete it seemed the world itself was holding its breath. 7-year-old Emma Parker pressed her small face against the cold car window, her breath creating little clouds of fog on the glass. Her father Robert was driving them home from her piano recital, the heater humming softly as Christmas lights from neighboring houses painted streaks of color across her wonder-filled eyes. That's when she saw him. A man sat hunched against the brick wall of a closed bakery, his thin jacket doing nothing to protect him from the bitter wind that cut through the Chicago streets like a blade. His hands were tucked under his arms, and even from the moving car, Emma could see him shaking. "Daddy, stop!" Emma's voice cracked with urgency. "That man is freezing!" Robert glanced briefly at the huddled figure and sighed, the kind of weary sigh that comes from seeing too much pain in the world and feeling powerless to fix it all. "Honey, we can't help everyone. It's late and we need to get you home." But Emma's eyes remained fixed on the man. In her young heart, she felt something her father had perhaps forgotten in the grinding routine of adulthood, that every single person mattered. That turning away from suffering made you smaller inside. "Please, Daddy." What if that was Grandpa out there? What if nobody helped him? The comparison struck Robert like a physical blow. His own father had passed away 2 years earlier, and the wound was still fresh. He looked in the rearview mirror at his daughter's pleading eyes, those same eyes that had looked at him with such pride just an hour ago as she played her piano piece without a single mistake. He pulled the car over. Robert approached the man carefully. The stranger looked to be in his 50s, with graying hair and a face marked by both weather and worry. His eyes held a distant quality, as if he was somewhere far away from this cold street corner. "Sir, are you all right? Do you need help?" The man looked up slowly, and Robert saw something unexpected in those eyes: intelligence, education, a soul that had known better days. This wasn't someone who had always lived on the streets. This was someone who had fallen hard and fast. "I'm okay," the man said quietly, his voice hoarse. "Just resting." Emma had climbed out of the car despite her father's earlier instruction to stay inside. She walked up holding her favorite scarf, the purple one her grandmother had knitted for her last Christmas. Without a word, she held it out to the stranger. "You need this more than me. It's really warm." The man's eyes filled with tears. He tried to refuse, but Emma's innocent insistence broke through whatever pride he had left. He took the scarf with trembling hands. "Thank you, little angel." Robert found himself making a decision that surprised even him. "There's a shelter 3 blocks from here. Let me drive you there. And first, let's get some food in you." 20 minutes later, they sat in a 24-hour diner, Emma happily eating pancakes while the stranger, who introduced himself as Dr. Michael Chen, devoured a hot meal like a man who hadn't eaten properly in days. Between bites, his story emerged. He had been a cardiac surgeon, one of the best in the city. But 3 years ago, his wife died in a car accident. The grief consumed him. He made a mistake during a surgery, a small error born from exhausted sorrow, but his patient survived still. The guilt was unbearable. He started drinking to numb the pain, lost his medical license, lost his home, lost everything except the shame that followed him like a shadow. "I used to save lives," Michael said softly, looking at his hands as if they belonged to someone else. "Now I can't even save myself." Emma looked at him with the clarity only children possess. "My grandpa used to say that being sad doesn't make you bad. It just means you loved someone a lot." Michael's tears fell freely then. This child understood what countless others had missed. His pain came from love, not weakness. Robert drove Michael to the shelter that night, but something had shifted in him. Over the following weeks, he couldn't stop thinking about the broken surgeon. He visited Michael several times, bringing food and eventually helping him find a rehabilitation program. Emma came too, always bringing small gifts: a book, a warm hat, homemade cookies. Her pure kindness inspired her father to keep showing up. Michael fought hard to reclaim his life. The road was brutal, filled with setbacks and moments of crushing doubt. But whenever he felt like giving up, he thought of that little girl who saw worth in him when he saw none in himself. He completed rehab, started therapy, began the long process of rebuilding his life. 2 years later, he regained his medical license and returned to surgery, working at a community hospital where he could help underserved populations. Robert and Emma heard about his recovery, but lost touch as life moved forward. They never knew the full extent of what their kindness had sparked. 4 years after that snowy December night, 11-year-old Emma collapsed during soccer practice. Her coach called 911 as her lips turned blue and her breathing became shallow. At the hospital, doctors discovered she had a critical heart condition, a coronary artery anomaly that required immediate surgery. Without it, she could suffer sudden cardiac arrest at any moment. The surgeon on call was Dr. Michael Chen. He walked into the waiting room to discuss the procedure with the terrified parents and stopped cold. He recognized Robert immediately, though the man looked older, worn thin with fear for his daughter. Mr. Parker. Robert looked up, confused at first, then recognition flooded his features. Dr. Chen. Michael's voice was steady but filled with emotion. Your daughter is going to be fine. I promise you that. I'm going to take care of her the way you both took care of me. The surgery lasted 6 hours. Michael's hands, once steadied by the kindness of a 7-year-old girl, worked with perfect precision. He repaired Emma's heart with every ounce of skill and gratitude he possessed. When he finally emerged from the operating room, exhausted but triumphant, he found Robert pacing the hallway. She's going to make a complete recovery. Robert collapsed into a chair, sobbing with relief. Michael sat beside him. That night you stopped for me. I was planning to walk into the river. I had given up, but your daughter reminded me that compassion still existed in this world. She saved my life, Robert. Today I got to save hers. We're even now. But they both knew it wasn't about being even. It was about the invisible threads that connect us all, about how one act of kindness can ripple forward through time in ways we never imagine. Emma recovered fully. She still plays piano and now volunteers at a homeless shelter every weekend. Michael continues to practice surgery and sponsors a program helping healthcare professionals struggling with addiction and grief. Robert learned that stopping to help someone doesn't make you late for life. It makes you alive. The truth is simple and profound: kindness is never wasted. It's planted like a seed in the frozen ground, waiting for the right moment to bloom. When we help others, we don't just change their story. We become part of a larger story about what it means to be human. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and subscribe to Pure Kindness Stories. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that compassion has power, that every person matters, and that the smallest act of mercy can echo through time. Together we can create a world where nobody is left out in the cold.